Hey guys, it's Allison here, and I'm coming to you with a Friday inspiration share. And it's to make a little card like this and incorporate something a little different into your card making repertoire, and that is to include clay. So we featured some of the modeling clay that we have in the store, and we talked about the pottery class that we've got coming up in September. And I thought it would be kind of fun to try and incorporate the different products that we have in the store and the different crafts that are out there into what I love to do, which is paper crafting, card making, scrapbooking, that kind of thing. So unfortunately, we sold out of the air dry clay that I really wanted to use. But Amanda had a package, a really old package from Stampin' Up! Many years ago. They came out with this clay, and she had a few little molds, and so I played a little bit. So this is the mold that I used. It's a little rose, and so yeah, so I thought I could show you sort of what I did, how to play with clay, and also experiment a little bit more with this clay and see if we can come up with some different ideas. And then we'll put together this particular card just to show you exactly how I put this one together. And yeah, okay. So first let's play with some clay, because that will take a little bit of time. It'll just take a little bit of time. So this clay is white. I'm just gonna pull some out to show you. And I accidentally left it open a bit, so the top is kind of dried, unfortunately. Thought I had it sealed, but it was not sealed all the way, so that's unfortunate. But I don't need very much for what I'm doing, so I will make sure this is properly sealed this time. So this is what this clay looks like. The clay that we have had in the store that is coming back is in all different colors, and I think that one you can let it air dry or bake it in the oven. This one you just air dry. I don't think you can bake it in the oven. I should probably read all the instructions or something like that. Yeah, air dry. Okay. Now mine is pink, so you can add all sorts of ink to this. I used alcohol ink to get that color, and I didn't bring it with me. I'm at my home studio, so I thought I would try some festive berries in the Distress Oxide and see what happens. And I'm just gonna do a little bit because I want to try something very different with the rest of it. So I'm actually going to take even less of it. A little goes a long way, especially in those molds. You know what, we'll do the other mold. We'll make some buttons. Okay, so I am going to take my festive berries and just put it in my mat. I should have gloves on, but I don't, because, you know, I'm living dangerously. So I'm going to get my wipes ready. And I'm just going to press it in the ink here. And then just work the ink right into the clay. And this takes a little bit of time, so if I need to fast forward, I will. Ooh, or we could do a whole marbled look. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? So right now we've got a very marbled look. I'm going to add some more ink. I'm going to see if I can get it quite deep and not such a sort of soft pink. It'd be fun to have it a nice vibrant red. Using the alcohol ink, so I wasn't really sure if they would work or if they would, and how they would react with the clay. They seem to do fine. They've hardened. They're not brittle. They still have a little bit of sort of give to them. And I think you could even probably add some ink on top of them. So this is coming out quite peach. That's kind of fun. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little bit of it. It's quite warm because I've been working it. I'm going to roll it into a ball, put it in my mold. Just going to press it there for now. Take another little ball, put it in the other mold. Okay, I'm going to press down, and I'm going to take away some of that excess at the back. Oops. Trying to do that, trying to take away the excess at the back without actually wrecking what's already in the mold. And then I'll press the other one in there. I don't think I'll get a whole button with this one, but let's give it a try. No, I won't. Definitely won't. Now the unmolding of it. This was tricky because the clay is quite warm. It doesn't exactly pop out. Oh, that's not going to work at all. No, I think my clay is too soft. Okay, well, plan B. Let's see if the flower will work for me. Oops. And I used to sell Stampin' Up! Like 10-ish years ago. Okay, that kind of worked, but as you can see, my technique needs a lot of work. But what I wanted to do today, and I'll get some more ink on here, and I might just incorporate all of this together, is I wanted to kind of play with it in the embossing folder. So I used a 3D embossing folder to, making sure I don't have ink on my fingers here, for my background, to create that embossed background. And so I wanted to see if I could use the clay in my embossing folder. I feel like I can. I think it's going to be kind of tricky and it might go horribly wrong, but I feel I can do it. I have faith in myself, really, I do. I just need to get this sort of work together. I'm going to put all this back in there. Get it to a nice homogeneous color. Okay. I'm going to clean that off my desk. So the embossing folder I used is this one, and this one came with the big shot switch that we bought for the store. If you're interested in the switch, it's an electronic big shot, basically. If you're interested in buying the switch, let me know. We can special order it for you. It's not something that we carry in the store. Okay, but this is just kind of, this is one of the 3D folders. So the images that come out are extra deep. And this one is just a whole lot of hearts. And I don't particularly have a plan for this piece of clay. I'm just curious to see if I can get it to emboss and how much of a horrible mess it's going to make. And in fact, I'm going to see if I can find my anti-static powder tool, because then I could lay down some powder. So this is from Tailored Expressions, and it's like basically like a big makeup sponge, but it's got powder in there. So when you're heat embossing, you put this on your paper, but it's just like a talcum powder, so I thought maybe it would work on here. Okay, let's see what this is gonna look like. Now, the other thing that I don't have, I know I'm so ill-prepared today, I don't have the right platforms for my big shot to emboss these 3D folders. So we're going to give it a try with what I have. And I need to bring that up a little bit. Not quite that much. All right, here we go. It's all about finding the right sandwich. Oh, I totally squished up the bottom. That's hilarious. Oh, I got a pink tongue. All right, let's see what this looks like. This could go horribly wrong, everyone. So that's where I put the talcum powder down. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So it's gotten very thin, and it is definitely sticking. I think I can sort of roll it off. I can always cut it into a shape if I want, once it's dry. Check that out. That's kind of fun. I could totally see putting that on a card, and once it's dry I will do just that and show you that eventually. But I think that's really fun. It's really thin. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside to dry, and let's go ahead and make the original card. I'll put these things to one side. Okay, so what you need to make this card is cardstock. So I have got a piece of heavyweight cardstock, and this is basically just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper cut in half and then scored in half. So this is what they call a top fold card because it folds from the top. I know, shocking, right? And then I've also got a piece of thinner white cardstock. So this is the type of cardstock that I would stamp sentiments on. Any of the die cut images that I do on this kind of cardstock. And yeah, so this is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is what I'm going to emboss with my hearts. So I'm just going to put my paper in my folder, close my folder, and then get my big shot back with my magic sandwich. Because this one is a little bit thinner, maybe it'll go through. No. The 3D folders are quite thick. So while you do want a bit of resistance when you're embossing, you don't, if you can't turn the handle, then stop and start again. Okay, so that's the debossed side. All the images are heading into the paper. And then that's the embossed image. I just love this. So it's just so fun. I think it's called Confetti Hearts. And I have it on order, but well, you know how things are going these days with supply chain issues and stores placing order for things that never show up. So, you know. Before I put this away though, I wanted to show you something really quick. Now, if you take your ink pad, and any ink pad will do, and I'm going to go on the side of the embossing folder where the image is coming out. I'm just going to lightly rub my ink pad over that image. And I'm not worried about getting all the hearts. And I'm going to put my paper down on the opposite side, close my sandwich, put the lid on my ink pad before I stick my fingers in that, and then I'm going to run that through. And that is the effect you get. So we got the debossed image now, but you can see the hearts in there. Isn't that fun? So if you ink up this side, then you would get a very different look again. If I have another piece of paper, I can show you that. Let's see what I have over here. Oh, I've got a long piece, so let's show you what that looks like. Because this is one of those fun fun techniques to do that you sort of forget about. So I just put my paper down, close my sandwich. Now I haven't cleaned this, so both sides are going to have ink on them a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to get this out of the way. All right, so let's take a look. So that's just the residual ink from the ink that I placed, that I put on the embossing folder originally. So I'm going to clean that off while I'm still thinking about it. So let's take a look at the other side. And that's what you get when you ink up the debossed image. That's confusing. Okay, so I inked up the debossed side so that I can get an embossed image with the negative having the color. And I inked up the embossed side, so that means that the image is coming out of the surface, so that I could get an image that is debossed with the ink inside the debossed bits. Clear as mud? All right, moving on. So that's just kind of a fun aside for you. Okay. So the next step is clearly I've made a giant mess. Now I've got my roses, and I'm going to put these on with some liquid glue, which will need some time to dry. And I'm attaching them onto little bits of string. So if you can see that, this string runs behind that front panel. So what I'm gonna do, this is how I do it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the only way to do it, but this is how I find it easiest to do. I put my double-sided adhesive, and I love my Be Creative tape. This stuff sticks. Nothing is moving. So I'm going to put that all around all four sides, and then I'm going to peel off the sort of the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to get some twine. My roses are pink, so I'm using pink twine, but you can use any shade of twine that you want. And I'm just going to start in one corner. I'm going to go up. I kind of want this to do a crisscrossy thing. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to stick it in there, and then take the tail and fold it back up into the glue. Okay, so we've just got this sort of crisscross shape. We can move any strings that we're not happy with. So I'm not happy with this bit. I think I want it to be more. It's actually that I'm not happy with that bit. Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right. And then I'm going to adhere this to my card base. Now this should be the same size as my card base. However, sometimes the cardstock I use is a tiny bit bigger. This is not even remotely the same size. Somebody screwed up. Oh no, there we go. it hangs off the edges here. That's fine. I'm just going to trim that off. Sometimes I find that the cardstock, even though the package says 8.5 by 11, it is not. It's like 8 3/4 by 11 1/4, which is kind of annoying. Okay, so there is the start of our card, and now we can glue on our roses, and you just need a liquid glue. I'm going to use my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and I'm going to put the adhesive on the card and then put my roses on top of that. I find that for me, this helps me sort of plan my pattern. But you do whatever is good for you. If you prefer to put the adhesive on the roses and then place the roses on the card, you do that. Or whatever you're using. This would be great if you have a whole lot of buttons that you want to use up. Now, you can probably see, oops, they're not sort of sticking to the card. This is where you get your Stampin' Block, and you place it down. You just need a little bit of weight on there, and let that glue set for a couple of minutes. And while we're doing that, we're gonna pick a sentiment to stamp on here. Now you can use any stamp set that you have. I grabbed the Hero Arts Rainbow, what is it called? Rainbow Scapes? Hero Scapes. Rainbow Hero Scape. And that was the sentiment I used for the other card, but you could use any of the sentiments on here. You just a simple hello, a happy birthday, all that kind of stuff. Maybe this one will do hello, or shall we do thank you? We'll do thank you. And I did experiment. I tried using some red ink, but I didn't like how it looked on the card itself. So I'm going for just a classic black. Oops. Got a little bit of something in there. Let's try that again. And then I used a die to cut it out. This is the die I used, and this is from, again, a Stampin' Up, a very old set called Bitty Banners. Maybe you have it in your stash. But you can easily do this without the die. So let me show you how. Let's see if I can do this on camera for you without wrecking everything. Let's move this out of the way. Okay. So my trimmer has this wire, so I can see exactly where the cut is going to happen. So I've just positioned my sentiment sort of right flush against the plastic, and that gives me about 1/8 of an inch margin between the sentiment and where it's going to cut. So I'm just going to cut. I'm going to do the same and flip it around and get that same margin on the other side. I know, it's like super exact because that's the way I roll. Okay, so now I've got a strip. Now you just need to take your scissors, and again, you could measure this, but I am an eyeballer. So I'm gonna cut it off where I think that's about 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm gonna make a little cut in the middle, and then I'm going to come from the corner to the peak of that cut. I'm going to flip my thing over and repeat that. I just find it easier to get the exact same angle if I flip it over. If I don't flip it over, then sometimes I'll have a different angle of the bottom, like a little pennant shape, and then it just looks off. But you do whatever works for you. And there, you've got a pennant. So So you don't need any fancy dies. You just need a pair of scissors. You could even, if you're really comfortable with your scissors and you cut perfectly straight lines with your scissors, just use your scissors. I am straight line challenged, I will admit. Okay. Now let's bring our card back in, and the glue's not completely dry, but I wanted to get my sentiment on there just to show you how easy it is. And I'm actually gonna, just realized I need to change my blades because it's getting a little bit rough. So I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. And then we're gonna put my sentiment straight onto my card. The white, like I didn't pop it up. It's very subtle, and the white on the white background adds to that. So there you have it. A really simple but impactful card using some clay. So I'm just going to keep the weights on that, let it dry thoroughly. Oh, right, I forgot. I flicked this one. Okay, so we got a couple of options for flickage. What I used was Heidi Swapp's Color Shine. I'm not even sure that they make these anymore. We don't carry these in the store. We have I think a couple of little maybe distress paints and things that you could use. But what you can do is use your distress inks. So I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna find a brush pen. It actually has water in it. Get some water in there. Load up my brush tip with all that red paint. And then I'm going to, hopefully you can see that, I'm going to tap it and excuse me, until the paint flicks onto the card. There. And then you just need to squeeze out the water onto, this is the baby wipe that I used earlier. You could use baby wipe, paper towel, whatever you have to hand, and that cleans your brush. So there is two different versions of the same card. The Color Shine, and hopefully the camera picks it up, does have some sort of glitter shine factor in it. So as you move it around in the light, you will see that. The Distress Oxide won't. It'll just dry matte. But just to show you that you don't necessarily need to have all the things, right? We can't buy all the things. We gotta make do with what we have. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon for more inspiration. Bye-bye.